Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida, right into the river.
358, Roger. We're painting some weather over Navy Jacks. How does 10 degrees left look for me?
143 people on board evacuated onto the wing of the plane, miraculously all surviving. Was weather a factor in all of this?
Also developing overnight, missile launch. North Korea firing short-range missiles, escalating tensions with Washington. What could be behind Kim Jong-un's latest show of force?
Happening now, plant explosion. The ground-shaking blast outside of Chicago leaving a massive crater, flames erupting from the site, debris littering the streets nearby.
I heard this really loud explosion and the whole building shook.
So what set this off?
Intense storms. The severe weather and flood threat impacting 30 million Americans. Nearly 10 inches of rain falling in Texas, causing water rescues. Powerful winds toppling trees. Our weather team tracking it all.
And may the 4th be with you. The day for Star Wars fans to celebrate their passion in all sorts of creative ways.
Description of a reported resistance supporter.
California's governor confronted by stormtroopers. As excitement builds for the galaxy's edge.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
This, for my 4-year-old son, is one of the most sacred days of the year, second only to his birthday.
The holidays, Christmas?
The holiday, well, it's right up there. I suspect when I get home, he's going to ask me to dress up as Darth Maul. Yeah.
Darth Maul.
That's
Perfect.
how this morning's going to go.
Every father should.
Absolutely, it's my duty. We're going to get straight, though, before we get to May the 4th, to the breaking news this morning out of Jacksonville, Florida. Take a look at this. A Boeing 737 skidding off the end of a runway and into a river.
It was a charter plane carrying 143 people and traveling from Cuba to North Florida. There were no critical injuries or deaths reported, one official calling that a miracle.
And so the question this morning, how did this happen? Our aviation analyst is standing by, but let's start here with ABC's Ariel Reshef, who has all the breaking details. Ariel, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. So many questions this morning. Officials say this was a disaster averted. Now the NTSB is investigating what caused that plane to slide off the runway into the water.
Frightening moments on board this Boeing 737 after officials say it slid off the runway right into this Jacksonville River. Several people injured, but amazingly, all survived.
It is a miracle. It could have ended we could be talking about a different story this evening.
Rescuers racing to the scene. 143 passengers and crew members on the Department of Defense charter forced to evacuate onto the wing, where they boarded rafts ferrying them to shore.
We climbed onto the wing. We couldn't tell where we were, whether it was a river or an ocean.
More than 80 fire and rescue crews responding, including a hazmat team working to control jet fuel leaking into the water. The flight was a regularly scheduled charter en route from Naval Station Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to Jacksonville.
358, Roger. We're painting some weather over Navy Jacks. How does 10 degrees left look for me?
Fire officials saying the plane hit a rough patch of weather just before touching down.
Obviously, the best case scenario would be that the aircraft is on the runway, but given the circumstances, it absolutely is the best case.
This morning, the NTSB launching a full team to Jacksonville to investigate. Boeing releasing a statement saying the company extends its well wishes to all those involved and is providing technical assistance.
21 passengers were taken to the hospital, but there were no broken bones or life-threatening injuries. President Trump tweeting overnight, the White House is monitoring developments here.
Incredible, nobody got hurt.
It really is a miracle.
All right, thank you, Ariel. Let's bring in retired Marine Corps Colonel and ABC News contributor Steve Ganyard, who served in the Pentagon and as a fighter pilot. He joins us from Washington. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Eva.
As we just heard, there was severe weather at the time of this landing. What sort of challenges would that have created for the crew?
Well, not just severe weather, there were thunderstorms, and sometimes thunderstorms can create microbursts that actually increase the touchdown speed of the airplane. There was probably standing water on the runway, so an airplane can hydroplane just like you may feel your car sometimes when you're going down the highway. But in this case, they'll also look at, was there aircrew error? Did the pilots properly calculate their touchdown speed, and did they plan properly, or is there a mechanical problem, maybe with the brakes or the thrust reversers? But if you look at those pictures there, you can see how lucky not only the crew but the passengers on this airplane were. The St. John River is very shallow right at the end of the runway there at Navy Jacks. And if there had been a building or a drop-off there, this could have, as that captain said there, could have been a very different story.
Now, this plane was a Boeing 737. The aerospace company, as we all know, has been in the headlines a lot recently for issues with other planes. Should people be concerned about this? Is this more bad news for Boeing?
No, this is the 800 model. This is the current generation of very, very reliable airplane. You see them everywhere. It's the biggest selling airplane in the world. This is not the new generation MAX. It's a very different airplane. So nothing to think that there's a design problem here. I think they'll probably look at whether there was a mechanical problem, whether there was aircrew error, and what role weather played in this mishap.
All right, thank you. Steve Gagnon joining us in Washington.
Eva, turning now to more breaking news overnight. North Korea firing a barrage of short-range missiles into the Sea of Japan. ABC's White House correspondent Tara Palmieri is on the north lawn of the White House with that story. Tara, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. It was certainly a provocative move by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un since President Trump walked out of their talks in Hanoi in February. It also hurts President Trump's claim that North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat because they haven't launched missiles. Overnight, North Korea increasing tensions, firing off a barrage of short-range missiles that landed in the Sea of Japan. This is the first missile launch since November 2017. When leader Kim Jong-un promised to stop testing long-range missiles that could reach the United States. National Security Advisor John Bolton briefing President Trump. It's the latest show of force since North Korea threatened retaliation over joint U.S. and South Korea military drills in April. A possible sign of escalating tensions despite President Trump's several attempts at reaching a denuclearization agreement.
Chairman Kim, are you ready to denuclearize?
If I'm not willing to do that, I won't be here right now.
That's a good answer. Wow, that might be the best answer you've ever heard.
The president's last meeting with Kim in February ending with a dark turn after President Trump walked out of the Hanoi summit after just 2 hours.
Sometimes you have to walk, and this was just one of those times.
In a recent meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un stated that the U.S., quote, acted in bad faith during that summit. U.S. officials tell me there has been radio silence between the U.S. and North Korea since that summit. The North Koreans also aren't speaking to South Korea. These officials tell me that the U.S. sent a letter to North Korea, but they have yet to hear back. But they're still hopeful that Kim Jong-un wants to return to the table. Eva?
All right, Tara Palmieri, thank you. And hours before those missiles were launched, President Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin about North Korea. The two leaders also discussing the Mueller report, but avoiding a key finding of that investigation. ABC's Lana Zach is in Washington with more. Good morning, Lana.
Good morning to you, Eva. No collusion doesn't mean no interference. The special counsel, Attorney General William Barr, and the intelligence community have been unequivocal. 25 Russian nationals have been charged. But President Trump says he didn't discuss that with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
In his first phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin since the Mueller report's release, President Trump says the two agreed with the special counsel's finding that there was no evidence of collusion.
We discussed it. He actually sort of smiled when he said something to the effect that it started off as a mountain and it ended up being a mouse. But he knew that because he knew there was no collusion whatsoever.
Special counsel Robert Mueller's 2-year investigation found that the Russian government did interfere in the election in a, quote, sweeping and systematic fashion. But he found no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. During their 60-minute conversation, President Trump did not blame Putin or even warn him not to meddle in the 2020 elections.
Did you ask him not to meddle in the next election?
We didn't discuss that.
Hours after their phone call, Trump continuing to downplay the election security threat, calling the Mueller investigation a, quote, Russian hoax in a tweet. Last year at that summit in Helsinki, President Trump believing Putin over his own intelligence community.
I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
And just this week, still trusting that Russia won't meddle again in 2020.
I don't believe they will be. I don't believe they will.
2020 presidential candidates not satisfied and demanding action.
Hold this administration accountable to make sure that we do take steps to secure our 2020 election.
And in addition to election interference, the president also gave the benefit of the doubt to Putin on Venezuela, even though his own Secretary of State just warned that Russia's actions there were destabilizing. Dan?
Lana, thank you. A lot to talk about this morning, so let's bring in ABC News chief political analyst Matthew Dowd. Matt, good morning. The criticism here is that when the president refuses to push Putin to stop his meddling in our elections, that actually encourages Putin to continue meddling. Do you agree with that criticism?
Well, I think it's bizarre in so many different ways. First, one for your reasoning, which is that we know that the Russians meddled in 2016. The FBI director, all of Trump's intelligence folks have said this. We know they meddled again in 2018, as reported by security forces, and we expect them to meddle in 2020. It is a strange situation where an adversary, a foreign adversary, who basically committed cyber warfare on us, we have a president of the United States who seems unwilling to confront them, and then also, as reported by the Homeland Security, former Homeland Security director, is unwilling to listen to ways that we could use to prevent this from happening again. It is bizarre.
Let me ask about something closer to home here. We saw, and also potentially much more positive for the president, we saw blockbuster economic numbers on Friday. 263,000 jobs created in the month of April. The unemployment rate at 3.6%, historically low. How much of a tailwind does this give President Trump heading into 2020 with all these Democratic contenders?
Well, and then you add to that the growth in the GDP that was reported in the last quarter that they reported on, which was above 3%. In any normal presidency, and the last time we had unemployment this low was 1969, the president is riding that tailwind very well. Richard Nixon in 1969 had a net job approval rating of plus 25. Donald Trump's job approval rating is a net of minus 12. And so, as I say, any president as a pilot would be riding this tailwind, but for some reason, this president can't seem to stay long enough in the jet stream to ride the tailwind that he has in the economy. He goes off on a tangent after tangent and doesn't seem able to ride the economic boom that he's sitting under, because he just can't maintain the discipline to do that. He does not ride the tailwind that he has.
Matthew Dowd on a Saturday morning. We always appreciate your analysis. Thank you very much. Whit, over to you.
Dan, another story we're following. A massive explosion rocked a suburb north of Chicago overnight, leaving behind a massive crater where a silicone plant once stood. There are a number of people unaccounted for this morning. ABC's Zachary Keish joins us with more. Zachary, good morning.
Whit, good morning to you. The fire chief just had the press conference. There's still an active investigation. The call came in at 9:30 last night, and firefighters had to navigate around roads littered with debris to get there, and immediately started treating victims and fighting this large fire. Overnight, a massive explosion rocked this Chicago suburb and left one building leveled.
I'm in back of Viking Park, and it was a really loud explosion.
10-4, it did shake our building, multiple 911.
You can see the aftermath in this video showing debris and rubble covering nearby streets as firefighters battle the relentless flames. Fire officials say at least 3 people are unaccounted for and 4 others were taken to the hospital after this blast at a silicon plant in Waukegan. A search is underway for other possible victims.
It was determined that there were 9 people in the building at the beginning of the incident. We had accounted for 6. We are unable to account for 3 subjects at this point.
Neighbors described what they felt.
All of a sudden, my lights flickered, and I heard this really loud explosion, and the whole building shook.
Local officials saying they don't believe air quality has been affected, but are advising residents to stay inside and keep windows closed as a precaution. Right now, the cause of the blast is not known. Other buildings nearby suffered damage, blown out windows and doors, just to mention some of the things that the folks are dealing with out there, but still, as I said, an active investigation and situation out there.
All right, thank you, Zachary.
Thank you.
Well, this morning, the cruise ship that was under quarantine in the Caribbean for a measles case has made its way back to the ship's home port on the island of Curacao. Now, health officials say they will assess who is vaccinated or needs to be before deciding who can disembark. Everyone on board the Free Winds, operated by the Church of Scientology, has been stuck on that ship since arriving in St. Lucia Tuesday, when a doctor confirmed a single case of measles.
Let's turn now to the tense situation situation in Venezuela as new protests are planned for later today. This as President Trump appears to contradict his own senior national security officials when it comes to Russia's involvement in Venezuela's political crisis, appearing to take President Vladimir Putin's word on the subject.
And he is not looking at all to get involved in Venezuela, other than he'd like to see something positive happen for Venezuela. And I feel the same way.
Now, just to put this in perspective, earlier in the week, the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, President Trump's Secretary of State, accused Russia of directly interfering by telling the embattled Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, to stay in the country. Venezuela is now bracing for a new round of protests, as we said, and ABC's senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is right there on the ground in Caracas with the latest. Ian, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. That's right. After days of violent unrest on the streets of Caracas, Venezuela's opposition leader, Juan Guaido, now speaking to ABC News in a rare face-to-face interview. Earlier this week, Guaido directly challenged Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, calling for the overthrow of the government. Now, what followed were intense protests met by violence from the government, with tear gas, rubber bullets and water cannon all used. Sadly, at least 4 people are dead, hundreds injured and scores arrested. Now, Guaido is backed by the US and more than 50 countries around the world, but he told me Maduro is receiving foreign military assistance.
The only intervention that exists today in Venezuela is from Cuba, who comes here to do military intelligence, and Russian military planes coming into Venezuela without the authorization from the Venezuelan parliament.
Guaido tweeting Friday night that his supporters will, quote, mobilize the main military units against President Nicolas Maduro. But this is going to be a real test of his strength and that of his supporters. There's been criticism that he failed to get enough military defectors or people onto the streets. And some are asking not when, but whether he can bring about the change so desperately needed here. So what happens on those streets behind me in the next few hours is going to be critical. Whit?
All right, a rapidly developing situation. Ian Pannell for us in Venezuela. Thank you. We do have a lot of severe weather to talk about this morning, from damaging winds to heavy rain, even reports of tornadoes in some places. Rob is tracking it all. Rob, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Wait, you can see the radar behind me. It's lit up across Louisiana. These storms moving through Texas overnight. Here's what it looked like in Austin, which has had a rough week to start. 4 inches officially at the airport there, but reports of over 9, if not 10 inches just to the east of Austin. Water rescues being done during the nighttime hours as that tremendous amount of rain over some saturated areas and rising rivers was a problem. Over towards the east, closer to Houston, funnel clouds reported there. Some tree damage as well. You can see in the next piece of video how a tree is ripped up off this backyard, big tree as well. So wind gusting there over 60 miles an hour easily. All right, here we go down I-10. Lake Charles, Sulphur, Crowley, rain, the frog capital of the world, getting some rain right now. Lafayette, you're going to get into it as well. Severe thunderstorm watch in this area until 10 o'clock this morning. And you can see our future radar really starting to bubble things up north of Mobile later on this afternoon. It looks like Lexington, Louisville might get some rain as well. From Raleigh back through Atlanta, Mobile, this is the area of seeing some severe weather today, damaging winds, large hail, a brief tornado possible. And this is all making its way towards the northeast tonight in through tomorrow. Maybe a little strengthening coastal low. Sunday looks to be a mess here, and this is saturated as well, so we'll see some urban flooding. That's a check on the weather headlines nationally. Time now for a look at your local forecast.
Hello and good morning, Washington. Meteorologist Alex Liggett. Cloudy and foggy, cool to start the day. Temperatures, so they will gradually get towards 80 degrees. Chance for a few storms by 2 o'clock. Better possibilities and more likelihood as we get later on this evening. So if you have evening plans tonight, keep that in the back of your mind. Do have the flash flood watch. That starts at 8 o'clock tonight, goes through 10 o'clock Sunday morning. 1 to 3 inches of rain will be possible. Do not cross any flooded roadways. Temperatures a lot cooler tomorrow. Have that heaviest rain in the morning.
Great frog festival down there in Rain, Louisiana.
A what festival?
Frog festival.
Frog. Okay, what's that?
Well, you do things with frogs, and you
like
party
eat chicken, like frog legs, chicken legs.
Okay. They're partying in Louisville today. Excuse me, Churchill Downs, where they'll probably get a little bit of rain for the big race, the Kentucky Derby.
So we need to be looking at the mutters then, right?
I think so. Yeah. Abbott and Costello. There you go. Place your bets on the baby. When's this baby coming?
Well, we have no idea when the baby's going to. Actually, let's go to Windsor, where royal watchers are looking for any sign of baby Sussex. Much anticipated arrival. That's where Amy Robach is this morning. Amy, what is the baby? You've been there all week long.
Yep, I certainly have. I followed right in your footsteps, Eva. And so here's the big news. We're still here in Windsor, and we still have no sign of the baby. We've had a few false alarms. There was some police activity near Harry and Meghan's cottage. Turns out the police were there.